These two thieves and liars that were on the stage on PBS, they did not refer to that document at all. Absolutely not. They didn't refer to it. Yes, go ahead.
Well, that's because they don't want to have it to be the ruling document. They think the administrative state that they have built with all the regulatory spider web of control over people's basic lives. I mean, every aspect of the people's daily lives is being regulated by this big government machine. And I do say that the Republicans who are elected into office get swept into that big government machine to the point where they think that it's their job to churn out these reams of regulations that do nothing.
You're right.
It's unprecedented.
It's so unprecedented amount of regulations they come out with.
I'm still waiting for the politician that's going to say, I want to go into office to repeal legislation. I want to go into office to cut the size of government. I don't see anybody saying that. Ted Cruz, talk to me about Ted Cruz. Gary, what's your opinion? Ted Cruz, in fact, is he really advocating for limited government?
No, I think he's one of the closest things to the Constitution and Bill of Rights we have. The other ones like Rubio and even I think Trump understands that. But, all three of them, they're the closest we're going to get to it.
That's absolutely true. I do have a concern with Cruz supporting the U.S. Patriot Act because that is a real infringement on our Fourth Amendment right to privacy. Other than that, though, he seems to be talking the talk. And I like the talk that he's talking. I like the talk that Trump is talking. But then you look at his past and you say, well, where is he? Where does he really stand on these issues? It's difficult to know because the media is so biased that it's difficult to weed through and find the truth of what people really stand for. I don't know what the solution is.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Gary. Gary, we're going to give you the last word, and we're going to keep the show moving for you.
Well, people need to find out what socialism is, and that's the whole issue. They really need to understand it.
Yes. That's absolutely true. I was working on a T-chart. Just a T-chart. What is a Democrat? What is a Republican? That's something that we really need to look at. And in fact, Gary, was it you that threw in the libertarian aspect?
Oh, it was Jimmy.
That was Jimmy that started because Jimmy said that he felt that both the Democrat and the Republican are influenced by the libertarian philosophy. I'd like to explore that a little bit more at some point in the future too.
All right. Thank you for getting up this morning with us, Gary. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. All right. Here, I just want to we want to keep the show moving. Again, Chelsea came. I just want to mention again that Chelsea came to Flint and did a fundraiser there. I do want to keep pointing out, I did call a number of different agencies. I called a number of different places in Flint to see, because we want to, as conservatives, as people that love people, absolutely believe in helping people. Now, this is an instance where people really need help right now. And I was going to do a fundraiser, ask our audience to help us out, but that's not something that we're prepared to do. But folks, let's find agencies up there in Flint. Find some places up there in Flint that we believe is trustworthy, and we need to support them. Let's support the people. When I look at the national news and when I see Flint is a part of that national news, that's something that we also have to keep a part of the conversation here on the Abolitionist Roundtable and here in Michigan. If our own cities in the great state of Michigan that's in the national news, so we want to put a focal point on that right there. We want to support them. I want to support them. And so I did call an agency and promise that I was going to mail a check for X amount of dollars in support of them. I have to support them because they said they really do. There is a great need in Flint. So just remember our friends in Flint, folks. Matter of fact, I'm going to probably try to have one of those agencies on next week. We have to help our friends in Flint. We have just recently we had because again I mentioned that Democrats trying to use this as their political football. They focusing in on Flint. And that's because the governor took responsibility. He took responsibility for Flint for some of the things that happened. When we had Chris Levels on here a couple of weeks ago, he said, "Wait a minute, Dale, I sat in the meeting. I was there when the city council voted to use the Flint water to get off the Detroit water." So, but for some reason, suddenly, Democrats they are the king of selective amnesia. All right, so.
Well, I think it's interesting, speaking of Chelsea Clinton, she comes to Flint to take advantage of a crisis. Again, these Democrats, never let a good crisis go to waste. And apparently the apple hasn't fallen very far from the tree in this case, because I don't think that Chelsea Clinton has done much to help the black community or Flint or Detroit in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, the news that is being shared today about Chelsea Clinton is that she left the Baptist church when she was 6 years old because they were against abortion.
Yes. Okay.
Now, what kind of narrative is that? How many people can say that at 6 years old, I left my church because I didn't approve of the fact that they were against abortion? That is such a lie. No. This woman is becoming her mother personified almost.
She is.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. You're right. A child at 6 years old don't know anything. Matter of fact, me and my daughter she was looking at a picture that I have displayed, and it's a pro-life picture. She asked me about that. And I didn't want to, because I want to gradually, I don't want to make my daughter a little activist, but I want to gradually just let her know what's happening today. And I just said, sweetheart, there are people that believe that you 7 years old that don't believe that you were a person in your mind. And she said, Dad, how can they believe that when? And she quoted from the Bible verse when, the Bible said, Dad, that God knew me before I was in the womb. And I said, that's a very good point. And so just remember that, because there are people out there that's going to try to persuade you. But I said, when we get a little bit older, we need to talk about this. One of the things, I might have to move on, Mayor, but I have to point out something that happened. It's been a couple of weeks. It happened on the 1st. As a Christian, I have to point out injustice, not social justice, but injustice. The president last week, he went to a mosque, which is fine, because he is a Muslim, so it's fine for him to go to a mosque. But he said something, and he said something to the Muslim community. Matter of fact, Derek, if you don't mind, because we are short on time, Mayor, could you play soundbite number 210?
Please be seated. Well, good afternoon. Now, a lot of Americans have never visited a mosque. And to the folks watching this today who haven't, think of your own church or synagogue or temple. And a mosque like this will be very familiar. This is where families come to worship.
Okay, pause that for a minute, Derek. Just pause that for a minute. I wonder why, Mayor, he chose that particular mosque. This is a segregated, I don't know if you knew this is a mosque that believes in segregation.
Well, I knew it was a radicalized mosque.
Women in one area, men in another area. But for this particular presentation, matter of fact, if you watch the video, you'll notice that they would not put the cameras on the audience at all, zero. But this is he chose a mosque that is a mosque that believe in segregation. I noticed that the Democrat Party, they talk about this equality and fairness and all these different things, but he went to a mosque that believed in segregation. how
Yeah.
does that narrative?
Where's the disconnect?
How does that fit his narrative? It doesn't, because he want to promote Islam.
Right. Well, in fact,
and
he said Islam means peace. No, Islam means submission. And the Islamist's definition of peace is that the condition once Islam has dominated the world, there'll be no conflict once Islam has dominated the world. That's their definition of peace.
That's right. That's right. All right, go ahead and continue, Derek.
And express their love for God and for each other. As voters, you come here to meet candidates.
Okay, hold on. Well, pause there for a minute, Derek. When he said they go there to
Meet candidates?
Make candidates, and they go to praise God. Now, well, here, let me just point out something. I pray to Jehovah Jireh. I pray to the great I Am. I pray to the God that sent me Jesus, gave me salvation. Now, he trying to. It was a lady at a college that said that the Islamic God is no different than the Christian God. Well, Allah is different. Then he is different. There is a difference.
And what happened to the separation of church and state? Our president goes into a mosque.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, so, well, Derek, here, I just want to say this right out. We're at the end of the show, but he went to this mosque that same week. Boko Haram burned 86 children in an attack. They burned them alive. Islam.
That's the religion of peace.
The religion of peace.
The
Folks,
Abolitionist Roundtable invites the Wham! Talk 1600 listeners to continue the roundtable discussions by mailing correspondence to Art of Michigan, Post Office Box 135, Garden City, Michigan 48135.
Or follow Phil, Del, and Janice at artofmichigan.com. You can also send emails to artofmichigan@hotmail.com. And most of all, continue to listen every Saturday and tell a friend.